Victor Cracknell's 5-day ordeal began at 1 in the morning on August the 14th, 1989. He was snatched at gunpoint from his luxury home here in East Horsley by kidnapper Keith Rose, who'd forced his way into the house. Police footage shot at the time shows the Cracknell's bedroom, where Victor's wife Debbie was tied to the legs of a dresser after being forced to bind her husband's hands with a plastic tie. She was warned not to contact the police or her husband would be shot. Blindfolded, Mr. Cracknell was taken away from his home here in his own BMW car and a typewritten note in broken English left behind, threatening to cut off his ear, nose and fingers if £1 million ransom wasn't paid. Despite the warnings not to contact the police, Victor's wife, who managed to free herself, phoned her father-in-law and officers were called in. The next 5 days were a living hell for the Cracknells. Victor was being held here in a densely wooded area on the edge of Dartmoor, manacled, blindfolded, with this wire noose around his neck. Victor was told if he tried to escape, the noose would tighten and strangle him. He's also threatened with being tortured with this helmet linked up to a car battery. The voltage from it, applied for any length of time, could kill.
Well, absolute fear. I didn't really want to think too much of the possible consequences.
Now, did you think that there was a possibility that this man who abducted you would go as far as perhaps killing you if he didn't get what he wanted?
Oh yes, that's very possible.
Did you at any time feel that Victor would never come back? Did that ever cross your mind?
Yes, it did. Yes, and if he did come back, it was still always flashed in my mind that he might be maimed in some way, as was threatened in the letter.
This footage, given exclusively to Thames News, shows the incident room during the hunt for the kidnapper. In all, 224 police were involved in Operation Tangerine, including men from the Metropolitan, Devon and Cornwall Police and the Regional Crime Squad. Negotiations between the kidnapper and Victor's father Desmond were carried out on the phone in the Cracknell's home. The first call came in at 3 p.m. on day 2 of the kidnap, 38 hours after Victor was snatched. 2 more calls reassuring the family that Victor was alive were made on day 3. On day 4, a deal had been struck. With the phone inside the Cracknell's home being tapped, this was the moment when Desmond was given instructions by the kidnapper on where to go to drop off the ransom money.
Proceed to A3, Roger.
Proceed, I think we call it in a southerly direction.
What, towards Portsmouth? Right.
£142,000 was then handed over to the kidnapper. Luckily, by the Friday, Victor had managed to escape. By then, too, police had tracked down the kidnapper by tracing his car to the West Country. Officers swooped on a house in Exeter and 40-year-old Keith Rose was arrested. At the Old Bailey, Rose was sentenced to 15 years in jail. Passing sentence, Judge Pownall called him vicious, violent and dangerous. He said, "You're also evil, callous and warped."
The Surrey Constabulary were responsible for the inquiry, but we had tremendous assistance from other police forces, and it was teamwork that got the success in the end.
For the police, this was the most successful operation ever in the UK. Not only was all the money recovered, but also the victim, apart from a few minor injuries and the mental scars from his ordeal, came out of it alive. Other forces across the country will now be looking closely at the Cracknell kidnapping to ensure that other operations end as successfully. This is Githa Hutton for Thames News.